Recently, I came across a YouTube video which talked about how to never quit, and I found it quite interesting, so I'll go deeper into it. And so, the first point was to flip your failure into fuel. And so, the main difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is how they see failure. And successful people see failure as feedback and not as something that holds them back and not as a reason to quit. And studies actually show that we learn much more from failures than we do from success. And there's actually many examples of this. So, for example, in NASA, after a failed launch, um, after that failed launch, future missions had a lot higher success rates. And for example, James Dyson, who was the founder of the vacuum cleaner company, he built 5,000 prototypes of the vacuum cleaner before he hit his success. And so failure is not, it's not a reason to give up, but it can actually be an opportunity to learn what you don't know and see where you can improve. And secondly is to remember your inspiration and basically what your motivation to do something is. And successful people are often driven by meaning, and it's like normally something much bigger than money. So, for example, my mom, she ran the half marathon, and it was mainly because to help her stay fit, but also she wanted to set an example to us to be persistent and to work hard. And I actually found it quite inspiring, and because of the reason to help inspire us, she was able to push through the hardship and eventually also complete the half marathon. And a similar idea is maybe if you wanted to start a business, maybe to help students learn, your motivation wouldn't only be to make money, but also to help students who are struggling with learning. And you have to think about if you decide to quit now, then all of the students who maybe would have benefited from your website wouldn't have the chance to come across it. And so yeah, it basically gives us strength to continue doing your passion and eventually make your success. And finally, here's a quick action plan for if you ever think about giving up. And so the first thing is to pause and don't panic. And so you shouldn't decide to quit like in the heat of the moment, where maybe, for example, you just meet failure and you just decide you want to give up. But you should basically take a pause and give yourself maybe a few days to rest. And then you get more time to think about your situation instead of just making a permanent decision which could impact your life. Secondly, you have to think about what you can learn from your mistake, and you find the lesson, and then maybe you can shift your mindset or the way of doing something, and eventually you'll eventually be able to change what's going right, and then just and eventually just make it fix it. And fourth is you just set, instead of like aiming for a big goal, you can set easy reachable targets. And what often happens is when people set big goals, like for example making success and making lots of money, it seems like a big way to go, and that actually just like unmotivates them to actually achieve the goal. And so small steps to eventually reach that is a lot more helpful. So for example, I wanted to change my morning routine, and I wanted to wake up earlier and just, I guess, go on a run every single day. And before that, I was waking up at like maybe 10 in the morning every single day. And so it might seem like a bit of a stretch to just suddenly go from waking up really late to just waking up early at like 7 and going for a run. However, if you think about it step by step, so maybe first thinking about changing, maybe doing push-ups in the morning to build towards that, and then maybe like putting shoes near your bedside to create a trigger for going for a run, and eventually building up step by step, you will eventually be able to walk towards your work towards your goal. And so I hope you learned something from this. Thank you.